Hey guys, welcome to SMI Up Canada. Today I want to talk about something that I think is important for you guys that are trying to decide if you should come to Canada as a permanent resident or as an international student, or maybe you've already started the permanent residency application and then you are impatient and you're thinking you just come as an international student and from there you will become a permanent resident. This video is for you to make that decision. I'm going to share the pros and cons of coming both ways. I came here as an international student and I became a permanent resident while still studying. So I've experienced both sides, both as a person without the permanent residency and as a person with it, still studying. So both ways. And the first thing I want to say is that permanent residency gives you peace of mind and freedom from renewing visas. Like, to renew visas, you have to first spend, you have to apply. You guys know how stressful it is, although it's easier renewing your visa from within Canada. I mean, reapplying for your study permit or your whatever, from within Canada, but still, it's still a whole lot of stress. You have to juggle the timeline. I came here as a student, international student. My husband came as a foreign worker. And then so my daughter came on a visit visa. So we had like so many visas that we needed to renew part-time, and it was just very stressful. We gave us initially just 1 year, and then 1 year later we had to renew and put together the money. You all know how much open work permits cost to apply for. I think about $250, a study permit, the visit visa. So all of that is taken away. That's the first reason. You just go, you just bounce in, and then you are good. The second thing is tuition. Guys, this should have been the first. Tuition is a major, in fact, is enough reason for you to decide to come as a permanent resident. Tuition for international students is crazy, and for domestic students is so cheap. Like, some schools can have a difference of almost $10,000. Like, an international student could be paying $13,000, or even some pay as much as $30,000 for the whole, like, if it's a 2-year program, while the domestic student will be paying a total of $6,000 for the whole program. I kid you not. And this $6,000, remember, is like $3,000 per year. I mean, this is something that you can work for and pay instrumentally. Like, the difference is just too much. It doesn't justify coming to study. If you have that opportunity to do PR, I'll advise you to pursue that. Instead of coming as an international student, I was very lucky because I came. Actually, I wouldn't advise anyone to come and do a PhD. To pay for a PhD is just nonsense. So it's just nonsense, because you're going to be working so hard for 4 years, and then you can't like be working, doing a part-time job, while you are working on your PhD. PhD is a full-time job already, and you have to also do teaching assistantship. That's your obligation. And then you now want to combine with a part-time job. It's just a recipe for mental health disaster or whatever. So you guys don't try it. Just keep sending emails to supervisors. I have videos on that, and you'll get someone willing to sponsor you, and then you can apply, and then the school will waive your tuition. That was what happened to me. So I had tuition waiver. But if you're coming for like a normal master's degree or like college, a postgraduate diploma, different degrees that you can, depending on your career, what's it called now? Your career aim and objective. So you might need to pay for tuition. In that case, it's better to just come as a permanent resident. It's so worth it. The third thing is the ease of traveling and the peace of mind again. I remember when the pandemic happened, there was a time I was thinking of going home. I just couldn't go home because the pandemic showed me that anything can happen. Like, for those that went out of Canada when the pandemic happened, it was hard coming back in. Like, for permanent residents, is your home, they will allow you in. But for international students, they said you would have to do this, you have to do a COVID stuff. I remember when my mom was coming on a visit visa, after getting a visa, we still had to get another letter. I remember there was an exemption letter we had to get again from Canada, and we had to wait and pray for that one to come in. And I was almost resuming my semester I needed her so badly because I just had a baby, and I thank God everything came through. Those are the hassles you won't face if you're a permanent resident. If you are studying and you want to go home for a while, you can go home. That brings me to the next point, guys. If you have a baby, it's so much easier. You can take a whole year off. I mean, if you decide you don't want to take that whole year off, you can take as much as you want within that one, maybe 6 months. As an international student, you can only take 4 months off. That's 1 semester. And there's even like people argue that, oh, hopefully it won't affect you. I did my research because I had my baby as an international student. I called CIC and they told me that I have the opportunity to take 1 semester. That's 4 months off without causing interruption to my studies. Anything after 4 months or 120 days is regarded as an interruption to your studies, and this can lead to an invalidation of your study permit. But 4 months is the max. So that was all I could do, and 1 semester was not enough. My baby was 4 months old and I was meant to go back to the laboratory to start doing lab work and teaching TA, and was guys, I'm still stressed remembering that experience. It's something that man, it was just so stressful. I wouldn't want you guys to go through it. If you have the opportunity to get your permanent residency before and then study while as a permanent resident, please do it. I was fortunate because I applied for my mom's visa. I have a video on that visit visa, and fortunate again, it took 2 weeks, and that was a miracle because it was during the pandemic. I don't know what made it that fast. I believe it was the prayer. I was just praying. I didn't know what to do. I did make a lot of things. I wrote a lot of things in my letter of explanation about how I had a surgery. I had a cesarean section to get my baby, to have my baby, and then all of those things. So maybe I believe that God gave me a compassionate visa officer that made that thing very fast. So my mom was able to come like 3 days before I resumed. All those things will be taken out of the way if you're a permanent resident already. And if your parent can come, that brings me to the next thing. As a permanent resident, you can apply for a super visa instead of visit visa for your parents. So what's the difference? A visit visa for parents allows them to, like for instance, my mom, she was given 5 years visit visa, but it doesn't mean that she can stay here for 5 years. She has to stay for at least 6 months. So it's a visit visa allows you to stay for 6 months at a time. Once 6 months is up, you have to go back. Either you go, if you have a US visa, you can decide to go to the US, spend 2 days in a hotel and come back, but you shall have to exit the country after 6 months, right? But for a super visa, you can stay for up to 2 years. You can stay for up to 2 years. So there's a lot of magnanimity with that, and it's something worth considering if you have children and you need help and support, and you need your parents to stay or a caretaker or someone to help you and stay longer than 6 months. This is a valid reason to become a permanent resident. And then another reason is the restrictions with being a foreign student. My husband came here on an open work permit. I've said that a million times on this channel. And the restriction with an open work permit is that you can't study for more than 6 months. So he couldn't do anything more than 6 months. So while he was working, it felt like, he could maybe get a master's, that could help him, still integrate more, but that opportunity was not there, so so those are the things. And I could not work more than 20 hours, although now with the new law you can work more than 20 hours, but that's just for a while. It's a temporary policy, and even how much, as a domestic student now, I can decide to take a semester off for an internship and save a lot of money and come back. But you don't have that flexibility. You are basically restricted as an international student. That's something to think about. Another reason, guys, is health insurance. In fact, if I begin to say, there are so many reasons. Health insurance for a family of 3 when we came was about $4,000 on top of other expenses of having a family. Oh God. Health insurance is another big reason. As a permanent resident, you have the government health insurance automatically free of charge. And then you can get a supplementary from your work. But this is not the case with international students. We have to pay through. Okay, no longer I'm no longer an international student. The thing will leave my body. It will still be like so I had to pay through my nose, like to afford healthcare. Both of us, my husband and I, it had a huge impact on our finances. It really, really impacted us. As people that are just new here and just trying to start building our careers, just starting from the entry level, So that's another reason why you should consider coming as a permanent resident. And if you watch my video on how I became a permanent resident as a student, I detailed the process. You can check it out and see the process I went through. You can start doing your application now so that you can have that thing. And even if you are deciding, okay, let me just go into Canada, that could help. That could be a good idea. Maybe your score is not competitive enough and you just want to, you are in the pool already and your score is not competitive. So you want to come in and start to study so that your spouse can work and then your spouse can add Canadian experience to it. That is good as well. But either way, just start this permanent residence process if you are eligible for any of the streams and see where it takes you. So there are so many other reasons why being a permanent resident, studying as permanent resident is better. Or just being a permanent resident, why it's better. Like you have opportunities to there were so many perks, things that I wanted to apply for. Look at funding. I had so many fundings I couldn't apply for. I had to manage one funding because I was discriminated based on my visa status. I couldn't apply for them. My husband also could not get so many benefits that were available for new permanent residents, because he was on a work permit. Not even many cities cannot get childcare subsidy. So a childcare subsidy in many cities. I was very lucky that where I live right now, Kingston, Ontario, this is the first time I'm even mentioning this, is you can get subsidy. So many cities, Guelph, so many cities, Toronto, I don't know about Toronto, but you cannot get childcare subsidy as an international student, only as a permanent resident. That alone is also a big reason why you should consider this. So I'm going to end on this note. If you know any other reason why, you can put in the comment. But if you are not eligible for permanent residency, then coming as an international student is a big way to push, because it helped us, right? So it's a big way to be able to make sure, is another pathway basically. Especially make sure you target provinces that makes it easier to get a permanent residency. We got our permanent residency 3 years after working in Ontario. I'm very sure if we were in other provinces, that would not be the case. There are some provinces that it makes it easier for international students to become permanent residents. So you want to target those provinces, like Atlantic provinces, like New Brunswick, like Nova Scotia, like Newfoundland and Labrador, like Manitoba, and like Saskatchewan. So you want to check out all these provinces to go and study there, so that the ease of passage will be, it will be smoother for you to transition from an international student to a permanent resident. I hope you learned a thing or two in this video. Till the next time, guys, remember to like, to share, to subscribe. It's your girl here, Julie. Till the next time, bye.